Hey everyone, welcome to 10 Minute Mindset. This is a new video series Ben and I are doing where we have 10 minutes strictly to pick apart each other's brains and learn about each other's mindset. This is episode 1. Hope you enjoy.
Three, two, one, and go. Go.
Ready? Okay. Biggest lesson you've learned this year so far?
Biggest lesson I've learned this year is probably just learning to execute. That's honestly probably like the biggest thing. I would say that a lot of times like I overthink a lot of the times, and I wouldn't say that I'm afraid to put out content, but I think that sometimes I'm always trying to make sure that things get better, and I'm a perfectionist in the sense that I want to make sure that it's the best possible content before I release it, and a lot of times that just prevents me from executing. So I think that ultimately in the long run makes me not able to put out as much as I can and prevents my overall growth. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I can definitely relate.
Cool. So now I ask you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick fire.
Okay. So what's your mindset towards failure? Because I know you've had a lot of experience.
The same exact question online.
Had a lot of experience with that, so go ahead.
Okay, so my mindset on failure is, in the moment, I think it's always challenging to kind of use it to your benefit. But what I try and do is, especially bigger failures or setbacks, I try and reflect back on what happened and kind of extract the useful information out of it, kind of learn why it went that way, and then reflect back, see where I could have done something differently, done something better, and then use that for the next time something similar comes up.
Cool. I like that a lot.
Okay, when you have moments when you're feeling down, what do you do to get out of that state and bounce back?
For me, it's very context based. So like that kind of a question is kind of difficult to answer because it depends on the situation. But I would say that, for example, I don't know, let's say I'm going through something where I feel like I need to just take a step out of it and like reflect and be by myself. So that's sometimes what I need to do, is just be by myself in my own space, gather my thoughts, and just kind of get out of that headspace type of thing. Sometimes I use outlets, like things like, I just got a piano, so like sometimes I use things like that, like music as an outlet, listen to music or talk to friends. I think those different outlets just really help me, or even exercise, really help me to evade that thing and like kind of be able to start something new after that and just get out of that headspace. Okay. What keeps you going like on a daily basis, and like what self-talk are you telling yourself to like keep yourself consistent?
I would say what keeps me going on a daily basis is exploring the why behind what I do, so the purpose. So for me, there's this interesting concept, I'm not sure if we talked about it, it's called 7 levels deep, and it's basically getting really deep on your purpose and your whys. So for me, ultimately it comes down to becoming my best version, but it filters down into a lot of different things, which is lengthy, so I won't get into it now. But it's always going back to my purpose. And then what I try and do on a daily basis is explore it throughout the day as much as I can. So I'll write in my journal, or I'll just kind of think it to myself. Some days I won't do it as much, and I'll notice those days I'm not as driven. So yeah, why, purpose, really dig into it, and that drives me.
Sounds good.
Okay, 30 seconds of advice to someone watching this who wants to be fulfilled in their life.
Whew, okay, dang. Who wants to be fulfilled? Okay, number one thing I would tell them is two things. One, don't let like fear be the factor that pushes you away from like your passion. And number two would just be like explore your passion and the things that you love to do in life, because I think ultimately happiness is going to be the thing that makes you the most fulfilled. And to be happy, you have to do the things that matter most to you and that you love to do. no matter what it is, no matter what any external information anyone is telling you, you have to do those things.
Quick follow-up. What do you think from your experiences, what do you think is the one thing that, like, what's the obstacle that gets into people's way from being fulfilled?
I think usually it's, see, dude, that question depends, because it depends very much on the person, but I think the thing I've seen the most being a student in university and just having a lot of people around you, I think it's two things. I don't think it's just one. I think it's fear. I think it's fear, but of two things. Fear of exploring that passion and being afraid of failing. I think that's one thing. And I think the second thing is fear of how specifically their parents will react to them doing that thing. Because a lot of things that people do, they go for it, but they don't go for it because they're afraid that it's so outside of the box that they can't make it, and it's very difficult to make it, so they don't go for it. They don't end up going for it. So that's what happens. One thing you're really good at, I found, like, in our experience, like just being friends and stuff, is discipline in the sense of saying no. So what's your mindset towards when different things come in the way and you have to say no to them and just stick to your lane and focus on what you need to get done?
I think it's always a process, by the way. I'm still improving, and I do find myself saying yes to things where I should be saying no to. For me, I think it's about the reps, like just over time. The more times I've said yes to things where a day passes or a week passes, I look back and it wasn't necessarily the best possible choice. The more of those experiences I have, it's just about identifying it then in a future moment where it happens and being like, no, I've already had this happen. It's time to say no and really focus on what it is I need to do. Tactically, what I'll do is I have like a whiteboard. We talked about it a little bit. So on the whiteboard, I have things that I want to do during the day. Some days I'm not as disciplined with setting it up perfectly, but the days I do have it set up, I'll kind of look at the list. If someone's asking for something, it's not on the list, or it won't let me achieve everything on the list. It's just, no, it's just sorry, you know. Sometimes, obviously, close friend, you need something last minute, you can help them out. But for the most part, it's having something strict, like a schedule to look at, and you can just follow that. So that's kind of what I use.
Okay, I have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
Something that I find myself doing a lot is being hard on myself when I end up saying yes to things that I don't want to. So
Okay.
what do you kind of do in those situations, and how do you respond in those moments?
Oh, great question. So in the moment, sometimes I'll feel down, just like you do. Like, I can definitely relate to what you're feeling like. You said yes, maybe the last 2 hours weren't productive. You're like, come on, what was that, you know? I should have made a better decision. But what really helps me is getting my journal out and being like, this just happened. There's no going back to the last 2 hours. This just happened. What can I learn from this? And what can I do next time it comes up? So kind of going back to what we talked about earlier in the video, I'll be like, okay, I've just had this experience. Why did I say yes? Why did it go the way it did? And then what can I do next time to avoid that?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, I guess the failing question you asked me, so I won't ask you. But biggest obstacle in quarantine and how you overcame it, if you did so far.
Okay. This one for me is very difficult because my roommate ended up leaving, so I was alone. The biggest obstacle for me, I love being surrounded by people, and specifically the right people that are gonna help me move forward. And that was the biggest obstacle, and how I tried to overcome it. I think I still struggled, but I became better, and because now I have roommates, so it's not the same. But I think how I became better was just surrounding myself by people, networking, and building like a podcast, building those connections with people and talking to people like you, like my friends virtually, just keeping myself in the right headspace and keeping myself moving forward and in that right mindset. I'll ask you one last question because there's like 40 seconds left. Okay. So what's the number one thing you can't live without, or something you do every day that you do or whatever to maximize your performance?
That's a good one. I would say I do this 98 to 99% of the time, unless like I'm away on a trip or something. It's just journaling at night and in the morning. It's just kind of a reset for the day to come ahead, or kind of reflecting back on the day. So that is my tool that I use almost every single day. And yeah, I think that concludes the 10 minutes.
That's good. We have like 5 seconds left, but that's good. Awesome.
Okay, hype. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that episode of 10-minute mindset. It's quick fire with these. We'll do them every couple weeks. I think it's fun to explore each other's mindset and learn more about each other. Ben, anything you want to say to end it off?
Nah, I really enjoyed that. Honestly, guys, that was really fun. I learned a lot of tidbits of information. I think it's good because we're doing everything very quickly. And no, that's pretty much it.
For sure. So take care, and we'll see you soon. All right.